This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. What a crazy year it has been, to say the least. I mean, Leonard Cohen and David Bowie died, that guy from Die Hard, and even China from the WWE are now dead. But we're not going to be talking about any of that in this particular video. In fact, one of the other honorable mentions perhaps could be Janet Reno, who said that, quote, she's never going to see President Trump in her lifetime, and then she died on November 7th. Or Fidel Castro, a relic from the past, this man who, alongside with the rapist Che Guevara, almost brought nuclear war to the world in 1962. That man's passing was long overdue. But what about all the other news going on this year, like Brexit and Trump and all the Twitter bans and wars on free speech and fake news? Well, hold on tight and strap in, get your seatbelts on, folks. We're going to break down PFT's top 10 stories of 2016. Coming in at number 10, we have the Fort McMurray wildfire. Even if you are not a Canadian, it's likely you have heard of this. It was the largest wildfire evacuation in Albertans history. The fire ended up destroying 2,400 homes, and it spread over about 1.5 million acres, and it ended up affecting oil sand productions. And it was the costliest disaster in Canadian history, and as we outlined in our video, it was made worse by government policy. Coming in at number 9, Gregory Allen Elliot was found not guilty. Gregory Allen Elliot was a Canadian who stood up to the feminazis on Twitter, and he ended up becoming essentially the bully victim of some social justice warriors online. And although he was found innocent by the Canadian courts, he still faced a wrath of trial by media, particularly by the leftist media. So what did this guy do that was so bad? Well, he triggered some SJWs through constructive criticism. And of course, any potential gains they could have made by this decision could have been overruled under Trudeau's Bill C-16, which now is writing into legislation the need to use pronouns. This is going to become law. Gender pronouns and political correctness was huge in 2016. And we could see this continue in 2017 as these SJWs ramp up their efforts and kick it into overdrive as they continue to police our language. Coming in at number 8, Lavoy Finnicum was murdered by the state. Lavoy Finnicum, one of the patriots in the Bundy Ranch standoff, found himself being tased and then shot by federal police. We not only broke this news live on Press for Truth Live, but we also showed how the militia occupation of this federal building was a protest against many things, but mostly it was about an unconstitutional federal government that had run amok. The survivors of this standoff found themselves in court, and they ended up getting nullified by the jury. So the precedent has been set here for patriots to win these battles, unless, of course, Trump puts these militias back to sleep by imposing even stricter police-state rules that are going to be enforced against rebelling Americans. Which brings us to number 7, President-elect Donald Trump. Seems to me that the powers that be are done with the Clinton family lines. They played their roles in the 90s and they did plenty of raping and pillaging, but that was then. It's 2016 now and times have changed. So now, like President Dwayne Mountain Dew Camacho in the film Idiocracy, reality television star Donald Trump has become president-elect in 2016. And you can expect some superficial differences to give the illusion of draining the swamp, as well as all the blame for the economic chaos that lies ahead. Coming in at number 6, we have Wikileaks and the Panama Papers. This year, we saw hackers acting as genuine journalists by releasing information that the mainstream media wasn't going to touch. And the media did react to this. It ended up leading towards focusing on Putin's alleged billions of dollars in offshore accounts. Meanwhile, they completely ignored any corruption going on with Hillary Clinton. So this year, we saw hacking as a political weapon, raw data being used for media manipulation, and everything under the sun being blamed on Russia. And speaking of using so-called revelations to drive home a narrative, coming in at number 5 is the missing 28 pages in the 9/11 report. These pages hint at Saudi intelligence, but they don't reveal any true cover-ups. The report is built with information provided by the FBI and the CIA. So why exactly an inquiry that would investigate intelligence agencies by simply taking them on their word, by disclosing information provided by these agencies without question, is of course never questioned. The release of these 28 pages just reinforces information that's already out there, but it does nothing to reject the core hypothesis that the CIA and the FBI are innocent. The 28 pages, folks, was a limited hangout, plain and simple. Coming in at number 4, we have Brexit. Just like Trump's win, Britain exiting from the EU shocked leftist establishments all over the world. Ignorant millennials ended up taking to the streets and arguing for more European centralization. And the British establishment continues to warn of economic depressions that are going to come as a result of Brexit. And attempts are being made to set up a second referendum or to prevent Britain from leaving too quickly. It seems that there are people out there who do not want this to happen. But Brexit is a sign in 2016 that populist revolts and these types of movements can win. Coming in at number 3, Justin Trudeau increases ground troops in the Middle East. Meet the new boss, folks. Same as the old boss. In 2016, Justin ended all airstrikes on ISIS and he tripled ground troops in Iraq. And just as we predicted and showed in our film, The Trudeau Deception, this Obama-like figure was just as war hawkish as the previous neocon. Except with Trudeau, we're subject to climate change propaganda and legislation. Which brings us to number 2 on our list, Canada's carbon tax. Justin Trudeau's federal Liberals are forcing a climate change strategy that is going to impose carbon taxes and cap-and-trade schemes. Manitoba's Brad Wall is refusing to go along with this charade right now, and also Albertans are chanting, "Lock her up," to the NDP premier who is pushing for a provincial carbon tax. One thing for sure, Canadians want no part of this. And last but certainly not least, clocking in at number 1 on our list, the war on so-called fake news. With breaking news spreading like wildfire all across social media, with stories like the Pizzagate scandal, a child sex trafficking ring involving some of the world's most powerful and influential people. This triggered the launch of the so-called war on fake news. Of course, this was and continues to be a war on the alternative media. It has been all throughout 2016 and will continue throughout 2017. Just this year, we saw it through Twitter bans and also Reddit banning the Pizzagate subreddit investigation. The establishment right now is trying to tame the wild, wild west of the internet. In fact, the blackout that is being enforced on this Washington, D.C. pedophile ring is so strictly enforced right now that even a simple Google search of the term Pizzagate will bring up so-called conspiracy theories. Guys, the corporate state media is on an all-out assault on the alternative media for reporting on things like Pizzagate, calling us fake news. And I think the war on our freedom of speech is going to continue in 2017 because the establishment is losing their grip on the narrative. But we're going to continue to expose all of this propaganda for what it is. Now, we can't have a top 10 list, guys, without a couple of honorable mentions. First of all, we have Jordan Peterson. He has been taking on the SJWs in 2016 and been doing a great job. Also in the United States, we've had a lot of mass shootings and general police state incidences increasing down there. And here in Canada, we had Justin Trudeau giving the eulogy for Fidel Castro, and that got quite the reaction all around the world on the internet. And speaking of Justin Trudeau, he hasn't legalized cannabis yet. So tell me this, Mark Emery, are my concerns your concerns yet?
Your concerns are not my concerns. I don't have any of those concerns.
A link for a reference to that video will be included in the description, as well as all the videos of our coverage from these top 10 stories. And on that note, I'd also like to give a shout out to two of our sponsors that we picked up in 2016. The first one is Skunk and Panda Extracts. These are some of BC's finest producers of medical grade cannabis extracts. Check out the links in the description, guys. They're a great bunch of people. We also were joined this year on the team. I'm happy to announce we have Liberty Farms as a sponsor. I'm rocking some of their gear right here. You can get one too, guys. Check the links in the description. These are a great bunch of people to have here on the team at Press for Truth. So moving forward in 2017, we here at Press for Truth are going to continue to cover all the breaking news as it happens. So I hope you'll join us. Check the links in the description to find out how you can become a Press for Truth member or a PFT patron. You can click on this link right here. Together, guys, we can continue to smash that pyramid one brick at a time.